Have you noticed the number of run clubs that have opened up recently? It's like everyone's part of a run club now, and if you're not, it's like the latest club scene. So, who am I to talk about all this fun wellness? My name is Kajal, and I am a type 1 diabetic of 30 plus years, a health and wellness coach, and a sportswear designer. So, I do wellness at all levels, from business to actually being a fitness and health person, helping those around me live a healthy life. Because honestly, we have this one vehicle that we've been given and we need to look after ourselves. So, the way I help and teach to find ways to make your life so much easier, so much better, and also so much more fun. That's why I love these walk clubs and run clubs because they are so much fun. And I'm going to share all the things I've learned from the run club that I've joined and now kind of created on my own. And I'm going to explain the benefits of joining one, not just for you, but for your community, who you work for, your business, because there's so much goodness in all of this. I've noticed within the last year, I joined one sometime last year and it just started growing. And then from there was a walk club, and then there was another run club, and then there's a run with coffee club. And now I'm seeing Pilates and run clubs with paddle, all sorts of different run clubs. It's usually running in the center, and then you've got paddle or Pilates or hiking or walking. And there's usually matcha lattes involved, not always, sometimes it's just a regular coffee. And it's something I started noticing, and I decided to research a little because I'm very good with seeing trends, and I'm like, what is going on? And it made sense to me because after the pandemic, everyone just wanted some real life connection. But don't you find it funny that prior to the pandemic, we were doing all our meetings, whether you hang out with friends or it was a business meeting, you were at a coffee shop, at a dinner, somewhere, restaurant, something like that. And things are changing now. People are meeting outdoors. People are opting for, you know, more open space climates. There's a huge migration of people away from the UK towards UAE, towards, Bali and these kinds of places where they can work online because the pandemic allowed people to now suddenly not be stuffed in their office the whole time. Yes, it's caused a huge chain of events, companies, rentals, how do we get our staff back? Story for another day. But in terms of wellness and how an employee or a person can be healthy enough to stay in a job, that's changed. You can work from home. That doesn't mean you need to be in a home in the same country. You can be working from home elsewhere. There's a lot of remote work. You can do a bunch of jobs at the same time. Now, one of the ways in which people network for these businesses or even for their own businesses, which a lot of people started during the pandemic because it really made us see structural falls, is meeting at these run clubs. This is how people are networking now. And I've seen it firsthand. When I first joined my run club, initially I was like, I'm not even a runner. Like, I used to hate cross country in school, like, hated it. I'm more of a walker. But the group of people I was with, they got us to do the stretches, the conversation. They would say, "Oh no, no, we're going to stay in the back," and because I was the last until I started getting myself stronger. But you have to start somewhere, and having this kind of support made me feel so included and so encouraged for something I'd never done before. And now that leaked into every other area of my life. I'm like, this is the kind of energy I want in my work, in my personal business, with my friendships, with my family, with my relationships, all of that. Even when it comes to my energy in my own household, I'm like, I'm going to encourage myself even more. So being around these groups, no one ever achieves anything great if you keep being pushed down, right? But if you're in a work environment or you're in a home environment where every single time it's like cheerleader, let's go, you're gonna do so much more with your life. So these run clubs are becoming the new place for networking. Zoom meetings are definitely out the window. No one wanted that. Everyone wanted to step out of their homes and step out of these structures that we'd had for the longest time because suddenly we were forced to use different ways of doing work. And people are now networking, even down to dating in these run clubs. It's a way in which you get to meet people outside their structure, whether they're in a suit or whether, you're on a date and you met them from a dating app, and suddenly they have to follow what's been written out. Whereas with a run club or a walk club, you get to meet people in their own habitat, the emotional habitat. You see? So this way, you actually get to vet whether you really gel with someone or not. You might not be an outdoorsy person, but you might want to just go for a walk. You might want to change your wellness and say, you know what, I want something that's easy, that's more accessible. I don't like going to the gym, especially for women and women of color. It gets intimidating. And, for Muslim women, for example, there's a separate ladies' gym. But if there was a run club that is for that set of group of people, they can talk, they can meet people, and it's still in a very healthy, natural way. So there's been this movement towards run clubs as a way to network and to date. But more than anything, what I've noticed is friendship making. I've made really good friendships from these people in these run clubs. And we've done other walks and other clubs, and, we've met up in other areas. And suddenly you realize you actually have a lot more other things in common, but you're not meeting them through the club or through work where that's your first point of contact to bring you guys together. And I think that's a really healthy way. It's not even I think, I know, that that's a really healthy way to build a community. And I say this all the time to my clients, I say it to my friends. The only way for healthy habits to stick is if you have that community. Obviously, don't rely on them. But when you're first starting out your health journey, it's really important to have that accountability. And especially if it's people who get you, both, or the group have the same or similar goals. There's accountability. You can check on each other. You can remind each other. I mean, I'm part of this walk group where on WhatsApp, they say, do you need a wake up call? Because we go at like the crack of dawn. We meet at 4:45. I never thought I'd be a 4:45, 5 a.m. girl, but here we go. We start walking, not running, walking, because also at that point in time, as a diabetic particularly, but anyone, you will have that cortisol spike to wake you up. Now you're under duress, you're stressing, you're like, oh my God, why am I awake at this time? But you don't want to wake up and start running. I mean, some people do, it just depends on your metabolism. But for someone like me, I need something that's going to reduce the cortisol. So an easy walk is great. What I really love about the group is at 4:30, the leader will say, who needs a wake up call? And he will WhatsApp call each of us. So it doesn't have to be a humongous group. It's just a cute, cozy group that really encourages you to move out your comfort zone. But you know that non-comfort zone is where you're going to grow mentally, physically, vascularly. That's what I meant. There's so many benefits to this new trend of run clubs. You have a membership. It's not like, in the 2000s or the 90s where there was an exclusive membership to go to the club. It's so different now. I mean, if you had to go back in time to the people you met in the club having like through drinks, I'm talking to my older audience here, do you think you would still be able to hang out with them and have the kinds of conversations about growth that you want? I know I'm not saying struggling with that, but I know I'm changing, and that's okay. And I just want you to know that that's okay for you too. If you are trying to go on this health journey, and especially when it's later in your life where you're trying to prevent diabetes, you're trying to prevent any rheumatoid arthritis, you're trying to be more active, these kinds of things are important for you. It's not got anything to do with anyone else's goals. So if you find a group of people whose goals are the same as yours, that's a win. That means you put yourself first with a bunch of people who put themselves first. But if you met people through the club, you were drinking, you're smoking, whether they want to change or not is a different story. But if they're not on that health journey, if they're happy how they are, maybe they've stopped smoking, maybe they still do. But either way, that's a question that you need to figure out. And I just want you to know that it's okay. If friendships start changing, relationships start changing. They're just changing, they're not ending. But you're putting yourself first. And who do you have at the end of the day through this whole journey of life? You. And you want to make sure this vehicle that the universe, God, whoever and whatever you believe in, this vehicle that you've been given is looked after. Because if you look after something, it will last. It really will. And so don't feel bad because I'm going through some changes at the moment and I'm learning to be okay with it. Initially, I'm like, oh, I'm losing some friends, or, I don't see this person as often as before, but goals are changing and that's okay. So let me give you some fun facts which fortify what I've just been saying. The Financial Times said global run club participation grew by 59%, not even just 50, 59% globally. That shows that people are trying to find better ways of connecting to each other, whether through work or through personal friendships. And in this study, they said they all made new friends. And a MasterCard study also said that meaningful travel and wellness first experiences were on the rise. So that shows that people are looking for something that's outdoorsy, healthier, a change from the past. I mean, think about it. We were told for the longest time to go for a coffee meeting or go out for a drink to have a chat about something important. You know what we should be doing now? Go for a walk with your colleague. Go for a walking date. Invite someone new whom you may have met somewhere to say, let's go for a walk. Because that way you're bringing in fresh air into your oxygen. You're thinking clearly. There's so much clarity in that, not just in what you're saying, but how your body is moving. The conversation is different. So swap those coffee meetings for walking meetings. So if you're a woman and a woman of color, I'm sure you have so many things to deal with. Looking after the kids, you've got your job, your husband needs to go out on a work trip. Now you have to do his part in the household. There's a lot. So now to carve out time to go for a Pilates class, because Instagram says everybody's doing Pilates, or to go to paddle, that kind of thing. It's tough. I mean, how are you going to fit in 11:30 Pilates class with your friends? They might not come because one of their kids has an issue at school, or they have something a cake to bake at home, and suddenly you're like, oh, do I really want to go by myself? There's too many, it sometimes feels like there's too much red tape. And it could be also your own resistance, and that's fine. But we're trying to find easy ways for a busy woman and a woman who's looking after so many things, juggling so many things, to get active, to take her health and put herself first. And this is why these run clubs and walk clubs are amazing, because they're always happening. And if you can't make a certain time, it'll be there the following week. And it's at a time which is either really early or really late, because they know everyone's busy. And so the beauty of these run clubs, walk clubs, it's so easy access. It's a low barrier connection space. And you're probably going to meet other mums, women, people who are struggling and juggling so many things, but just trying to find a way to put their health first. I mean, I myself look at these girls on Instagram and they're pushing this weight and doing this. As I've gotten busier, I can't go to the gym 3 to 4 times a week. I can't even make certain classes. So if I can squeeze in a session here or there, I will. But to be honest, I don't even have enough energy to push in the gym sometimes. But if I go for a walk, I have oxygen in my lungs, in my brain. There's more space around me. I feel de-stressed. And I mentioned this in a previous video where the Neanderthal part of our brain, the reptilian part of our brain, will think stress, whether it's your laptop or person next to you, your boss, you're going to have the same reaction as if a tiger were chasing you. Cortisol, adrenaline, everything's going to go up. And it could be so subliminal. For me, I have an indicator. My sugar levels start going high when I'm under stress. But when things are at a distance, your mind, that hormonal change happens. And suddenly your cortisol, your adrenaline, all of these hormones that keep your blood sugars, your energy levels under control, and also the ability to store fat. So if you have a lot of cortisol in the body is stressed, it's going to hold on to anything that's going to try and keep it safe and warm. But if you can drop that, it's not going to hold on to unnecessary fat. Do you see what I'm saying? A fat is a safety mechanism. So walking and running, you see these beautiful outdoor spaces. You smell fresh oxygen that the trees are creating. It's so good for you in so many ways. That reptilian part of your brain has equated space to less stress. So it's helping you also feel more open to talking to someone else about what's going on in your life. So low barrier access, connection spaces, amazing. And this way, you have more authentic connections. There's less hierarchy. It's just freeing. Isn't that amazing? So this is something I did recently. So my running group started getting smaller and smaller. Someone left, someone traveled, different things happened. I said, you know what? I'm not going to stop running, even though I never really liked running in the first place, because I met some really great women there. And so I contacted them separately and I said, would you like to go running? And there's a location that we love to go to. So for me, it's about how I feel in that location. So I wouldn't even mind if I go by myself. But I do know that if I ask these girls, they'll come. Now, as a result, I started posting about it. And then I've had more people ask about my runs. And so it's now becoming a growing group. So one tip I have for you, ask your neighbors. Ask if you are at work to say to your group, how about we do every Thursday lunchtime for 30 minutes? We'll just go for a walk around the area. Just do something small and simple. Maybe just ask your sister, ask your mum. It can be an easy walk, it can be a fast New York marathon walk. But just start small and create your own little walking group. You can run if you want to, but I really do believe that walking, and I've said this even before walking in run clubs, walking is the best exercise when you're starting off any journey. It's not about trying to lose weight, it's not trying about changing your metabolism, it's actually just about getting yourself de-stressed. But the beauty of walking is that it doesn't stress your joints, it doesn't stress any cortisol, anything in your body, and your metabolism rises. And as a result, if you do have high blood sugars, it'll start dropping, not just per meal or every time you walk, but in general, everything's just going to drop. Then you're going to start losing weight. Then you're going to also notice your mood changes. You're going to have endorphins running through your body. So I've been saying this about walking for the longest time. Walking is the MVP, honestly. If you can start your own little walk club, run club, 2, 3 people, and just do it at a time that matches everyone, you don't have to now, analysis paralysis, construct a whole group, try and get matching t-shirts and things. No, just do something as easy as that. And honestly, it's going to make a world of a difference. Create your own little walk club, your own little run club. You won't regret it, I promise you. And at the end of it, do something that you will give yourself props for. So if that means go and grab a coffee, if that means, you know, shower yourself in your favorite luxurious body wash, use that body cream that you've been keeping on the side for like a special occasion, because the special occasion is now. But that way, you are also positively reinforcing in your mind that you've done something good today, you're something you're proud of. These are small little tips and tricks that you should do to help yourself to get into this walking, running routine. And also, you won't feel left out. You're going to see all these run clubs online. You'll be like, yeah, I got my own. So don't overcomplicate it. It's so easy. You got this, okay? So I'm going to give you another example. In Hong Kong, there is a female running group called She Runs Collective, and it's a safe space for women to run, to walk, to meet up. It's a sisterhood, and it's got nothing to do with dating. I mean, if that's in Hong Kong and is growing in its reputation and is matching what I'm saying here, like, it just makes sense, you know? There's another club called Lunge Run Club, and in this one, actually, it is for dating. So those who are single wear a different color. Those who are dating wear another color. And so that way you know if your intention is to meet someone. I mean, you might like someone and be like, oh, okay, I'm really having a good time with them. And just not realize that they're actually married or they're dating someone, and then you're not wasting time or creating high hopes when you can't really go there, you know? So that's another one that's happening, Lunge Run Club, which is amazing. So if you want, if you're a young fitness person, you could actually, it doesn't matter what age you are, but if you are looking to date someone, if you want, create a little run club for your area, for your neighborhood, and have people wear different colors if they're single or if they're taken. It's like those traffic light parties they had in the 90s. I never went to one, but I've heard a lot about them. But a healthier way. Obviously, you don't want to advertise it to everybody because that's when you might bring in some creeps, attract some creeps in. Keep it within your neighborhood. You never know. You might meet the love of your life and he's been living like a few roads away. So do you see how fitness and wellness is just bringing everybody together Post-pandemic, the ways in which people are working are changing. The networking part is changing. I mean, I am going to a paddle and networking event in the next couple of days, which I think is fantastic. I've never played paddle in my life. Um, I think I actually have two left feet, but I'm going to do so because it's actually a bunch of investors meeting up and I want to see what they do and how they think and maybe even show them my sportswear range. Who knows? Um, but I think it's pretty cool that it's making these important conversations more accessible, more authentic, and less stiff, and less businessy. Because at the end of the day, any person who's selling their business or talking about themselves, you are your own brand, you're your own personality, and that's what people buy into. But if you're stuffy in your white shirt and tie, and you have to almost put on a persona because you are in a working environment, people won't see the real you. And if you can do that through fitness and wellness, and I mean, I talk about diabetes and health and wellness the whole time. I'm very spiritual about it. I'm very metaphysical about it. I talk about Louise L. Hay all the time. If I've got a headache or a sore throat, I'm thinking, what am I not saying to the world? Or am I speaking too much? there's I'm always trying to figure out what is it that I'm saying to myself. So if I had to come across like this in a business meeting, people might think I'm a little crazy. But I do know that outside the work environment, if I had to explain that to someone, and someone's been working hard and they've got a wrist pain, I'll say to them, you might have RSI. Are you on your phone too much? Not too much, but on your phone a lot. He or she will probably say yes. Well, why don't we go and have a walking meeting? We don't have to be on any phones. You can have your headphone on if you do receive any phone calls, but I'm talking to you directly, or we're talking to the world because we're side by side, and we're taking in fresh air. We're connecting to ourselves. We're doing what the old way of living is, but with a little bit of technicalities and, technology here and there. But we're not letting it overtake ourselves and becoming robots and like getting stuck in a corner in an office, do you know? We're not meeting people to date on these apps because it doesn't make sense. That's not the natural way of doing life, right? So if you can do it in a natural way, maybe some of it's a bit configured, but it's all with the same goal. You'd want to be married or dating someone. You'd want to be working in an environment where everyone takes healthcare seriously. Because if you don't have your livelihood, how are you going to give and be productive in your environment? Do you see what I'm saying? I've always said this. I make sure my staff take breaks. They make sure they get their tea time. They go for a walk. I make sure they stretch because we're working with a lot of heavy machinery. These are such important factors because if you don't have that, the quality of your product, the quality of your service will suffer. Your bottom line from a business point of view will suffer. You, as an employee doing all this work, we're not robots. You personally will suffer. So, do you see how these run clubs and these walk clubs and taking fitness to the next level for networking and dating and reconnecting post pandemic is so important? This is the way forward. And if you can't join a run club, create your own. You can't join a walk club, create your own. That way, you build community, you build authenticity, you meet new people, and it's all for a healthy cause for yourself. So, I'm going to challenge you. What if your next business meeting was a walk in the park? Because real talk happens when you're moving, not zooming. If you love this video and you're starting your wellness journey, but you're not really sure where to start, I have something for you. In the description below, I have a free 21-day wellness tracker. 21 days because that's how long it takes for habits to stick. Little tips and tricks, practical, some cultural, that you can do on a daily basis. And it's so easy to start. And add that in with the walk clubs, the run clubs, just going walking, taking your health into your own hands in the easiest way possible to start you off, because the hardest step is usually the first. And if you love this video, please share it with a sister, share it with someone who may be needing it, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.